The DRC and the M23 rebel group have signed a peace framework agreement in Qatar to end fighting in the eastern region of the DRC. And for more on this, we are now joined by SABC News Correspondent in the DRC, Chris Ocamringa. He joins us now live. Chris, thank you so much for your time. Maybe let's start off here. We finally see this framework and agreement which has been signed. Just give us the latest.
So according to the officials in Qatar who are mediating the talks between the M23 and the DRC government, there are 8 key points, what they call protocols, that the DRC government and the M23 have been discussing. And they have already signed 2 of them. One of them is about the exchange of prisoners, and the other is about a ceasefire monitoring mechanism. These are issues that they have been going back and forth on for a very long time, both sides accusing each other of violating a ceasefire that was signed in an earlier treaty known as the Declaration of Principles on July 19th. And they're supposed to carry out a number of issues, but they haven't been doing that, and fighting has been continuing in Eastern DRC. The DRC government hasn't issued a statement about this framework that was signed in Doha, but a representative, a senior official of the M23 rebel group said that there were 8 points that they are supposed to discuss. It's not a final deal. There's still going to be a lot of talks that they're going to be engaged in. And he said that nothing is going to change at the moment. And by that, he meant that the rebels will still continue to remain in those areas that they're occupying since late 2021. The DRC government has been repeatedly saying that for a comprehensive peace deal to be reached, the rebels and the Rwandan forces have to withdraw from all the areas in Eastern DRC. The state presence has to be restored in that area, and that has been a sticking issue in these talks. But the United States Senior Advisor for Africa, Mossad Bolos, said that this signing is a very important step in these talks that have dragged on for very long.
And Chris, what has gone into this peace deal which we are seeing, and how was Qatar able, to seal this deal?
Well, so the government officials, have really been put in a very tight spot, because they have tried to capture the areas that have been taken by the rebels since January, but they haven't been able. And many people have been dying. We've heard about violations of human rights. Women have been raped in that area. So the government has been advised by members of the African community, African Union, the United States and Qatar, that military solution is not the way to go in this conflict in Eastern DRC. Everyone has been saying they need to talk, and the government has accepted that, but there has been a very difficult period of negotiations. Both sides have been taking a very hardline position. They have not been willing to make concessions, and that is why these talks have dragged on. The ceasefire deal has been violated, and fighting has gone on. Actually, earlier this morning, there was fighting in North Kivu province between the pro-government militia, the Wazalendo, and government forces.
And Chris, you made mention of another peace deal that was signed earlier this year in July. And like you say, there were violations in that regard. And how sure are we, how certain are we that this time around, this one will remain?
Well, it's very difficult to state that, because like you mentioned, there have been a lot of violations in these ceasefire deals that have been signed by both sides, not just with the Qatari-led mediation efforts, but previous ones by the East African community, the Southern African Development Community. And so people are cautiously optimistic about this new announcement. This current ongoing peace negotiations in Qatar is part of a wider peace process that is being led by the United States. On June 27th, there was a deal that was signed in Washington, D.C. between the DRC and Rwanda. And in that deal, the United States said that the DRC government has to talk with the M23 rebels to discuss the root causes of this conflict. And so the United States government is supposed to sign a comprehensive peace deal with the DRC president, Felix Tshisekedi, and his Rwandan counterpart, Paul Kagame. before the end of this month. But they cannot sign that deal before the M23 and the DRC government sign this deal in Doha. That is why there has been a lot of pressure put on both sides to agree to come up with, a working document so that the two leaders from the Rwanda and the DRC can sign this comprehensive deal. The United States is very keen on investing millions of dollars in the mining sector, infrastructure and tourism sector in Eastern DRC for the mutual benefit of both countries and their investors.
All right, Chris, thank you so much for your time. That's SABC News Correspondent in the DRC, Chris Ocamringa there, just giving us the latest update when it comes to that ceasefire deal which has been signed. Of course, hearing there from Chris saying that they are still waiting from the DRC government to give a statement in terms of this peace deal which has been negotiated in Qatar.